"Daddy, is Mommy sick?" Ethan sobbed as he shook her motionless body. I froze, my heart shattered in that moment. So I carried her out and filed for emergency custody. I feel like I'm mourning my wife while she's still alive. That sounds dramatic, but it's exactly how I feel watching the woman I love disappear into addiction. I'm Dan, 31, software developer in Columbus. Emily is 32, used to teach preschool before everything fell apart. We have a 6-year-old son, Ethan, who keeps asking why Mommy doesn't love him anymore. 2 years ago, we went through hell. My dad died of brain cancer in January 2022. Emily's father died of lung cancer in March. Then in August, we lost our baby at 5 months, a little boy we'd already named Jacob. 3 major losses in 8 months, but here's where it gets messy. Emily's mom, Linda, has been telling everyone that I'm not supporting Emily properly during her grief. Meanwhile, my coworkers are starting to notice I'm constantly distracted and leaving early for family emergencies. Last week I found cocaine residue on our bathroom counter. When I confronted Emily, her response floored me. "Everyone deals with pain differently, Dan. Maybe if you actually grieved instead of just working all the time, you'd understand." "Emily, I found drugs in our house, where our 6-year-old lives. It's not like I'm doing lines in front of Ethan. God, you're so dramatic. Ethan asked me yesterday why your nose bleeds so much." A 6-year-old shouldn't have to ask that. Maybe you should mind your own business instead of monitoring my every move. The fight escalated when she admitted she's been hanging out with her new friend group, people from her old job who actually understand loss because they've been through real trauma too. What's that supposed to mean? My dad didn't die of real cancer. Your dad was 68, Dan. Mine was 52. It's different. And our baby was losing Jacob, not real trauma for me. You didn't carry him for 5 months. You didn't feel him stop moving inside you. I get that Emily's pain is different from mine, but she's using it as justification for destroying our family. 3 nights ago, Emily didn't come home. At all. I called everyone, her sister Jess, her mom, even tried her new friends. Nobody knew where she was. When she finally walked in Tuesday morning, she looked like hell and smelled like a bar mixed with something chemical. "Where the hell were you?" I was about to call the police. I was processing, Dan. Sometimes I need space away from all the judgment in this house. Judgment. "Emily, you disappeared for 18 hours without a word. I'm dealing with more pain than you could ever understand. Stop using pain as an excuse. We both lost people. We both lost Jacob, but I didn't abandon our living child to chase oblivion." She slapped me. Actually slapped me across the face and said, "Don't you dare compare your experience to mine." That's when Ethan walked into the kitchen for breakfast and saw his mom crying and his dad with a red mark on his face. "Did Mommy hurt you, Daddy?" Emily ran upstairs and locked herself in our bedroom. I made Ethan breakfast and tried to explain why Mommy was sad, but how do you tell a 6-year-old that his mother is slowly killing herself? The worst part? Emily's mom, Linda, called me yesterday screaming that I'm driving Emily to drink and that I need to be more supportive of her grief process. "Linda, I found cocaine in our bathroom. Emily told me you planted that to make her look bad. Why would I do that to my own wife?" "Because you want to take Ethan away from her. You've always been controlling." Meanwhile, my mom Maggie thinks I should have left months ago. "Danny, I watched your father die and I grieved properly. Emily is choosing destruction over healing, and you're letting her drag you and Ethan down with her." My boss pulled me aside Friday because I've been missing meetings and making mistakes. "Dan, I don't know what's going on at home, but it's affecting your work. You need to get it together or we'll have to discuss your future here. I can't lose my job. I'm the only stable income we have since Emily got fired from the preschool for showing up hungover. But the absolute breaking point came Sunday. I found Emily passed out on Ethan's bedroom floor at 3 p.m. She'd been reading him a story but was so high she collapsed. Ethan was trying to wake her up, crying and asking if Mommy was dead. I had to carry my wife to our bedroom while explaining to our terrified 6-year-old that Mommy was just really tired. That night after Ethan went to bed, I told Emily I was done. "You need help, real help, rehab, therapy, something, because this isn't grief anymore, this is suicide by degrees. You don't get to tell me how to handle my trauma, Dan." When your trauma starts traumatizing our son, yes I do. Maybe Ethan would be better off without a mother who kills babies anyway. Don't you dare use Jacob's death as permission to abandon Ethan. He needs you to get better, not disappear. But Emily's response was to pack a bag and leave for her friend Melissa's house, saying she needed space from all the negativity. She's been gone 4 days. Ethan asks about her constantly and I don't know what to tell him anymore. Reddit, I'm drowning. Has anyone dealt with cocaine addiction in a spouse? How do you save someone who doesn't want to be saved? How do you protect your kid from watching his mother slowly die? I feel like I'm failing everyone: Emily, Ethan, even Jacob's memory. Some nights I sit in my car and cry until I can't breathe. Update 1. First, thank you for the Reddit gold and all the support. Based on your comments about staging an intervention, I decided to act. Several of you asked about Emily's family dynamics. Turns out that's where the real drama was hiding. The intervention was a complete shitshow that exposed just how toxic Emily's family really is. I called Emily's sister Jess first. I need your help. Emily's cocaine use is getting worse and she's not coming home for days at a time. Dan, are you sure it's cocaine? Emily said you've been paranoid and controlling since Jacob died. Jess, I found drug paraphernalia. I have photos. Ethan found her passed out on his bedroom floor. Jesus Christ. Okay, what do you need? But when I called Emily's mom, Linda, the conversation went sideways fast. Dan, Emily told me you've been emotionally abusing her and threatening to take Ethan away. Linda, that's not true. I'm trying to get Emily help for her drug problem. Drug problem? She's grieving. You're trying to pathologize normal grief responses because you can't handle a woman having emotions. Cocaine isn't a normal grief response, Linda. I don't believe Emily is using hard drugs. She's always been dramatic, but she's not stupid. This is where it gets messy. Linda convinced Emily's dad's brother, Uncle Ray, that I was making up stories about Emily to steal custody of Ethan. By the time we staged the intervention, half the family thought I was the villain. Dr. Thompson, the addiction counselor I'd been seeing, agreed to moderate. My mom Maggie came for support. Jess drove down from Cleveland. Emily's mom Linda brought Uncle Ray as backup. Emily walked into our living room to find 7 people waiting for her. What the hell is this? She demanded. Emily, we're all here because we love you, but we're watching you destroy yourself with drugs and alcohol, I started, following Dr. Thompson's script. This is emotional abuse, Dan. You're ambushing me in my own home. Emily, honey, Dan showed me photos of drug residue. We're worried about your cocaine use, Jess said gently. That's when Linda exploded. I can't believe you're all ganging up on a grieving mother. Dan has been poisoning you against Emily. Linda, please, Dr. Thompson intervened. We're here to discuss Emily's substance abuse and its impact on her family. Substance abuse? She's grieving 3 deaths: her father, her baby, and her father-in-law. Emily seized on her mom's support. Finally, someone who understands that I'm dealing with real trauma, not made-up drug problems. Emily, my mom said firmly, I lost my husband too. Grief doesn't excuse putting Ethan in danger. You didn't lose a baby, Maggie. You have no idea what that feels like. And you're using that tragedy to justify abandoning the child you do have, my mom shot back. Uncle Ray jumped in. Dan, I think you're exaggerating Emily's problems to make yourself look like the good guy. Classic manipulation tactic. Dr. Thompson tried to redirect. Let's focus on specific behaviors. Emily, can you tell us about your cocaine use? I don't use cocaine regularly, sometimes at parties, but Dan makes it sound like I'm some kind of addict. Emily, I found you passed out on Ethan's floor at 3 p.m. on a Sunday. What party were you coming from? I asked. I was exhausted from grief, not high. Jess pulled out her phone. You texted me last week saying coke helps me feel normal again. I have screenshots. Linda snatched Jess's phone. You're violating Emily's privacy. This is harassment. That's when the intervention completely derailed. Linda started screaming that I was orchestrating a conspiracy against Emily. Uncle Ray accused me of financial abuse because I'd started monitoring our bank account. Emily played into it perfectly. You see, this is what I deal with every day. Dan and his family trying to control me and make me the villain for grieving my losses. Dr. Thompson ended the session early when Linda threatened to call the police for harassment. After everyone left, Emily was triumphant. I told you my family would see through your manipulation. Emily, your sister agrees you need help. It's just your mom and uncle who are enabling you. My mom understands that you're trying to steal my son because you blame me for Jacob's death. That's not true and you know it. Is it? Because you've been collecting evidence against me like I'm some kind of criminal instead of your grieving wife. The next day, Linda called me at work screaming that she was going to report me to CPS for emotional abuse and that I was using Ethan as a weapon against Emily. Linda, I have video of Emily passed out while watching our son. CPS should investigate. You recorded her without consent? That's illegal. Meanwhile, Jess called apologizing for her family's behavior. Dan, I'm sorry about Mom and Uncle Ray. They've always enabled Emily's worst behavior because she was the baby of the family. Did Emily really tell them I was making up the drug problem? She's been telling Mom that you're having a breakdown since Dad died and projecting your problems onto her. Mom believes whatever Emily says because Emily's grief is more legitimate since she lost the baby too. 2 weeks after the failed intervention, Emily moved in with her mom. Linda posted on Facebook that I was an abusive husband who was persecuting a grieving mother. Half of Emily's extended family believes I'm the villain now. But here's the kicker. Emily's party friend Melissa reached out to me privately. Dan, I need to tell you something. Emily's been dealing cocaine to pay for her habit. She owes some dangerous people money and they've been calling her constantly. Dealing? How long? At least 3 months. She started selling to our friend group, then branched out. She owes her supplier almost $5,000. Emily wasn't just using, she was trafficking drugs to fund her addiction. And her family thinks I'm the problem. The most surreal part, Emily's been telling people that I never properly grieved Jacob and that my emotional unavailability drove her to seek comfort elsewhere. But yesterday, Ethan asked me something that broke my heart. Daddy, did I make Mommy so sad that she had to go live with Grandma Linda? No, buddy. Mommy is sick and sometimes sick people blame everyone else for their problems. When will she get better? I don't know, Ethan, but we're going to be okay no matter what. Filing for emergency custody next week. Emily's family can hate me all they want, but I won't let them destroy Ethan's childhood to protect their delusions about Emily's grief. Update 2. Holy shit, Reddit. If you thought my last update was messy, you haven't seen anything yet. Thank you to whoever gave me platinum. I needed that laugh during the worst week of my life. Remember how I said Emily owed drug dealers $5,000? Well, that situation just went nuclear in the most public way possible. Last Tuesday, I got a call from Detective Rodriguez at Columbus PD at 2 a.m. Mr. Mitchell, your wife was arrested in a drug raid. She's asking for you. What kind of raid? We busted a house where she was dealing cocaine. She was found with intent to distribute quantities and resisted arrest. This is serious, Mr. Mitchell. I drove to the station in shock. When I saw Emily in handcuffs, she looked like a stranger, hollow eyes, weight loss, skin problems I hadn't noticed before. Dan, thank God, you have to get me out of here. This is all a misunderstanding. Emily, they said you had intent to distribute amounts. I was just at a party. Someone planted those drugs in my purse. Who would do that? I don't know, maybe whoever's been setting me up this whole time. Even facing felony charges, she was still living in denial. But here's where the family drama gets absolutely insane. The arrest made the local news because it was part of a bigger drug bust. Emily's mugshot was on TV and online. Within hours, Linda was calling everyone we knew claiming the police set Emily up because I had connections that framed her. Linda actually told our neighbors that I worked with drug dealers to plant evidence on Emily. She created a whole Facebook conspiracy theory about how I orchestrated Emily's arrest to steal Ethan. Dan Mitchell is a sociopath who destroyed my daughter's life and then had her arrested on fake charges, she posted. He's been planning this since Jacob died because he blames Emily for the miscarriage. The post got shared 47 times in our neighborhood Facebook group before the admins took it down. Meanwhile, Uncle Ray started showing up at my workplace telling my coworkers that I was criminally abusing Emily and that they should report me to HR for being a dangerous person. My boss had to ban Ray from the building after he cornered my colleague Sarah in the parking lot claiming I was using company resources to frame Emily for drug dealing. But the absolutely nuclear moment came when Linda and Ray showed up at my mom's house while Ethan was there. My mom called me panicking. Danny, Emily's mother and uncle are on my porch demanding I hand over Ethan. They're saying you kidnapped him. Mom, don't open the door. I'm calling the police. They're screaming that Ethan belongs with Emily's family since Emily's in jail because of you. Linda's saying you're an unfit father. I raced over there to find Linda and Ray pounding on my 67-year-old mother's door while Ethan watched from the window, terrified. Linda, what are you doing? Dan, thank God you're here. We're taking Ethan home where he belongs until Emily gets out. Emily's in jail for dealing cocaine. Ethan belongs with me. Emily's in jail because you planted those drugs. We know what you did. Linda, that's insane. Ray stepped up aggressively. We have evidence that you've been setting Emily up for months. All those photos and videos you took, classic abuser behavior documenting fake evidence. The evidence is real. Emily has a cocaine addiction. Liar, Linda screamed. Emily, grief drinks sometimes, but drugs, never. You're a manipulative psychopath. That's when my mom opened the door. Linda, you need to leave my property immediately. You're scaring Ethan. Maggie, your son destroyed my daughter's life. He's been psychologically torturing her since Jacob died. My mom, bless her, went full protective grandma mode. Linda, I watched Emily show up high to family dinners. I watched her pass out at Ethan's birthday party. Your daughter is a drug addict, and Dan's been trying to save their family. You're all liars covering for an abuser. The police arrived to find Linda screaming at my 67-year-old mother while Ethan cried inside. They escorted Linda and Ray off the property and filed a report for harassment. But Linda's not done. She started a GoFundMe called Help Emily Mitchell Fight False Charges, claiming Emily was framed by her abusive husband and his corrupt family. She raised $3,000 before GoFundMe shut it down for false information. She also hired a private investigator to prove I planted the drugs. This pie actually called my work, claiming he was investigating me for criminal conspiracy against my wife. The harassment got so bad that my lawyer filed for a restraining order against Linda and Ray. The hearing is next week. Meanwhile, Emily's in county jail facing serious felony charges. Her court-appointed lawyer told me she's finally admitting to the drug dealing, but claims she was forced into it by psychological abuse at home. She's saying you drove her to drugs through emotional manipulation, the lawyer explained. It's a common defense strategy. She's been using cocaine for over a year. Mr. Mitchell, I'm just telling you what she's claiming. The prosecution has strong evidence regardless. Here's the most twisted part. Jess, Emily's sister, called me crying last week. Dan, I'm so sorry about Mom and Uncle Ray. They've completely lost their minds. Jess, your mom is claiming I'm some kind of criminal mastermind. I know. I tried to reason with her, but she's convinced you orchestrated Emily's whole addiction and arrest. She's been telling family members that you're dangerous and that they should avoid you. What do you think? I think Emily's been lying to Mom for months about everything, and Mom can't accept that her perfect daughter became a drug dealer. It's easier to blame you than face reality. The family has completely split. Half believe Linda's conspiracy theories, half think Linda's enabling Emily's addiction. Christmas is going to be a nightmare, but the most heartbreaking part, Ethan asked me yesterday, Daddy, why does Grandma Linda hate us now? She doesn't hate you, buddy, she's just very confused and angry about Mommy being sick. Did we make Mommy sick? No, Ethan. Mommy made choices that made her sick, but that's not your fault or mine. Emily's trial is set for January. Linda's harassment campaign continues daily. My work is considering letting me work from home because of the disruption. But you know what? Ethan's thriving. He's in counseling, sleeping well, eating regularly, and hasn't asked why Mommy's nose bleeds in months. Sometimes protecting your kid means accepting that half the family will think you're the villain. Update 3. Reddit, this story has taken turns I never could have imagined. Thank you to everyone who's followed this journey. Your support kept me sane during the worst year of my life. Emily's trial ended in February. She was sentenced to 18 months in prison, but got into drug court instead, a program where she does intensive treatment instead of jail time. She's been clean for 4 months now and living in a sober facility. But here's where everything gets complicated. The woman who came out of treatment isn't the same person who went in, and honestly, she's not the same person I married either. But she's alive, she's fighting, and for the first time in 2 years, she's taking responsibility. Dan, I know I destroyed everything. I know sorry doesn't fix what I put you and Ethan through, Emily told me during our first supervised visit in March. I'm proud you got clean. That takes incredible courage, but I need you to know I don't recognize you anymore. The woman I married disappeared somewhere in that addiction. She did disappear. I killed her with cocaine and lies and self-pity. I'm trying to figure out who I am without all that. What matters most is that you want to be Ethan's mom again. I want to earn that right back, not just demand it because I gave birth to him. That's all I ever wanted to hear. Here's the thing nobody talks about in these stories. Recovery doesn't automatically fix marriages. Emily getting clean was essential, but the trust issues run deeper than Grand Canyon. We're in couples counseling now, but Dr. Peterson is helping us face hard truths. Emily, you used grief as permission to abandon your family. Dan, you used Emily's addiction as justification to become controlling. You both need to own your parts in this dysfunction, she told us. I was trying to protect Ethan, I said, by monitoring Emily's every move and collecting evidence against her instead of getting professional help sooner. She was using cocaine around our child, and you were building a custody case instead of focusing on intervention. Both responses are understandable, but neither was purely altruistic. That was hard to hear, but Dr. Peterson was right. Somewhere along the way, I'd shifted from trying to save Emily to trying to win against her. Emily's relationship with Ethan is slowly rebuilding. He sees her twice a week for supervised visits, and it's awkward but improving. Mommy talks different now, Ethan told me after their first visit. She cries when she apologizes, but she listens when I talk. How does that feel? Better, I think. The old mommy was sad but pretended she wasn't. New mommy is sad but tells the truth about it. Kids are remarkably resilient when adults start acting like adults, but Linda's harassment campaign reached absolutely psychotic levels. After Emily started recovery, Linda convinced herself that Emily's sobriety was fake and that I was controlling her treatment to maintain my narrative. She started showing up at Ethan's school claiming she had custody rights. The school had to get a restraining order after she tried to pick him up without permission. She created a blog called Justice for Emily Mitchell, where she documented her conspiracy theory that I'm a sociopathic mastermind who drove Emily to drugs and then had her arrested. The blog got maybe 12 readers, but Linda shared every post in neighborhood Facebook groups claiming Emily was a victim of domestic abuse and police corruption. The breaking point came when Linda showed up at Emily's sober living facility demanding to rescue Emily from my continued psychological control. Mom, Dan isn't controlling my recovery. I chose this program, Emily told her. Emily, honey, you don't have to pretend anymore. I know he's manipulating you through visits with Ethan. Mom, I was dealing cocaine. I endangered my child. Dan protected Ethan while I destroyed our family. That's not true, Dan planted those drugs. Mom, I bought the cocaine. I sold the cocaine. I chose drugs over my family. Linda's response was to accuse Emily of having Stockholm Syndrome and claim that I'd brainwashed her in treatment. Emily finally went no contact with her own mother because Linda refused to accept that Emily was actually an addict. My mom would rather believe in an elaborate conspiracy than admit her daughter became everything she raised me never to be, Emily told me. That must be devastating. It's liberating, actually. I spent my whole life trying to be her version of perfect. When I couldn't be perfect anymore, I became the worst possible version of myself. Now I'm learning to be human. Uncle Ray escalated too. He started calling my work claiming Emily had new evidence that I abused her. HR had to involve their legal team after Ray showed up at my office demanding they fire me for domestic violence. The restraining order hearing was surreal. Linda brought a binder full of evidence, including printed Facebook screenshots, blog posts she'd written herself, and handwriting analysis proving I'd forged Emily's drug texts. The judge looked at her like she was insane. Ma'am, are you claiming Mr. Mitchell orchestrated an elaborate conspiracy involving the Columbus Police Department, multiple drug dealers, and a treatment facility to frame your daughter? Yes, Your Honor. He's a master manipulator. Ma'am, your daughter pled guilty to drug-dealing charges. She's admitted her addiction in court. She was coerced into pleading guilty by her abusive husband. The judge granted the restraining order and suggested Linda seek professional help for her detachment from reality. But here's the plot twist nobody saw coming. Emily and I are getting divorced. Not because of drama or fighting, but because we've both realized we're different people now. The couple who got married doesn't exist anymore. Dan, I love who you've become as a father in person, Emily told me last month. But we're not in love anymore, are we? No, we're not. We're co-parents who care deeply about each other, but the romantic love, it died somewhere in all this chaos. I'm okay with that, are you? Yeah, I am. We're getting divorced amicably. Emily will have supervised visits until she's a year clean, then we'll reassess custody. We're both in individual therapy, Ethan's in counseling, and everyone's healing at their own pace. Emily's working part-time at her treatment facility, helping other women new to recovery. Helping others stay clean helps me remember why sobriety matters, she says. I'm learning to be a full-time single dad while co-parenting with someone in recovery. It's complicated but manageable. The most surprising development, I've started dating someone. Her name is Sarah, she's a teacher at Ethan's school and she understands the single-parent life. We're taking things very slowly, but it's nice to remember what healthy relationships feel like. Is Sarah gonna be my new mom? Ethan asked last week. Sarah's my friend, buddy. You only have one mom and she's working hard to get better so she can be a better mom to you. Can I have a mom who's getting better and a dad who has a friend who's nice to us? Yeah, buddy, you can have both. Linda's blog still exists. She posts daily about the conspiracy against Emily, but nobody reads it anymore. Even Uncle Ray has distanced himself after the restraining order hearing. Emily's relationship with her mom might never recover, but her relationship with Jess is stronger than ever. Sometimes families have to break apart before the healthy pieces can rebuild. Looking back at my original post, I barely recognized that desperate man trying to save someone who didn't want to be saved. I learned you can't love someone out of addiction, but you also can't hate them out of it. Recovery is complicated, divorce doesn't have to be ugly. Emily's clean, Ethan's thriving, and I'm finally living my own life instead of managing everyone else's crisis. That's not the fairy tale ending, but it's a real-life ending we can all live with.